Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is No Bullshit Gaming Podcast 2.5 Gamers session number 31. We are discussing latest news, having fun, and dropping knowledge. But let's not forget, this is still a 4 a.m. conference discussion vibe, so let's not take it too seriously. And we are starting with amazing news. We just crossed 400 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you very much. This brings us close to 800 in total if we count Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. So you're amazing. Thank you again for the support. Please share this podcast with your industry friends, family, dogs, and cats, and especially cats. They love it. And 1 second, I just wanna welcome Felix and Jakub and myself, Matej, to this session. So thank you guys for coming, and I'm looking forward to it.
So thank you everyone who has subscribed to us. We've actually discussed amongst us, and when we actually hit 1,000 subscribers, not only will Matej get a tattoo, but we will be doing then an episode fully dedicated just to answering your questions. If you have any questions regarding game design, admon, or UA, please send it to Matej. And if you can't spell his last name, because it's Matej@lancharic.me, then basically, if you can't pronounce it, look in the show notes.
There you go. Amazing. Also, thank you very much for allowing the last Global Launch case study session. It even triggered a true redemption story. Is that true, Felix?
Yeah. So before we do our little brief share of news today, before jumping onto an educational topic, which is, you didn't introduce it, Matej.
No. Well, you need
surprise
to wait
as
for
always.
It's surprise. It's surprise.
Surprise. All right. So yeah, before we did the news, I wanted to share my true redemption story. During our last episode on Survivor.io, myself and my lowly and innocent level 2 Survivor.io character got called out on my analysis by none other than my fellow co-host Matej Lancharic.
No.
After the episode, I was down. I thought it was over. Then I picked up my phone and I got playing, and I played and I played until my fingers hurt. And now my character is an impressive level 8. And I've seen more ad placements.
Still lazy.
And I'd like to redeem myself with an updated ad earnings estimate for Survivor.io. And I know, Remo, you've seen more because you're on what, level 17 right now?
Yeah, 17.
Exactly. But I think I'll have to write a blog post about this, because the gradual increase in ad placements after time spent in the game, after spending no money on IAPs, is a true testament to like absolute brilliant admon design. So before getting into the analysis, simply just want to send a chef's kiss to Javi. Well done.
Well done, guys.
Yeah.
Well done, guys.
So ad placements in Survivor.io on day 1 and day 2 users are the EDF supplies and 300 in gold. So for D1 and D2 users, I still think that the ad viewer rate is somewhere between 50 and 60% with an ImpDAU of 1.5. So it's not clear how many users actually retain to different levels, because we can't see that yet, which is a bit annoying. But that means that for day 1 and day 2 users, ad ARPDAU is around 1.1 cents on Android. LAT, it's around 1 cent, and IDFA, it's around 1.6 cents. So after D3, that's when their ad placement strategy morphs into something that more resembles what Matej was saying last week of them being an ad juggernaut. So after D3, the ad placements then balloon to free gold with increasing amounts every day. You can watch an ad with gems 2 times to get more gems, and also the famous one that we discussed last week and on revival after death. The interesting thing is here, after watching 3 or 4 ads, you're actually shown a cooldown timer of 5 minutes, meaning that they're actually throttling the ad watching.
The timer is only shown in the gem placement, by the way, and all the other ads just go grayscale in a way, like it's not ready. But yeah, I think on top of it, there's also the daily deals ad, that
Yeah.
pretty much starts there every day. And then later down the line, and you as you unroll the idle mechanic, pretty much the patrol feature, you can also watch an ad instead of like bursting energy to kind of get ahead on the idle timer. So there's also
Man,
another one there.
do you feel the energy, dude? Jakub is completely different man. No
It's because he took
COVID,
off
no
his glasses.
glasses.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's amazing.
I think we're gonna call
Welcome.
No
this.
delay.
I think we're gonna
No
call this
delay. Yeah.
episode Remo like unskinned,
Unskinned, Remo unskinned. Nice.
Yeah.
Jakub
unchained.
unskinned. Remy, here we
One
go.
thing, one thing I want to add here is that what Felix is pretty much saying that they are sacrificing the smoothness of the FTUE, or let's say the ad placements for the smoothness of FTUE, because if you really compare the game, it unlocks really, really slowly. I mean, very, very slowly. Like I'm currently like something like day 10, and only now I got the gold mine feature, the daily quest thing for the gold, pretty much, which is very, very far down the line, and you can slowly see it as the main UI of the game is pretty much super clean. There's nothing there, and slowly it populates with more and more and more icons. And now I have like 3 to 4
Yeah.
UI bars now.
Yeah, it's unlocking when you move
Yeah,
through the
but
levels.
this again goes into that same thing that Hobby had, that they are like the masters of this kind of casual homemade core, or pretty much something between hyper casual and casual, where the economy is very, very strong because they have currently like 3 battle passes in that you can buy. It's still like the gacha is very, very strong there. It's super annoying now because I'm having like every piece I have 2 of something, but I'm missing the third one.
course.
So that's
course.
great. And I'm scouting the daily deals that I finally can buy the third one. At least the inventory is not limited, because that would be super greedy if it would be limited. So
Well,
yeah, hints
just
there.
wait. Yeah, just wait. Just wait. It's gonna get there.
Yeah.
For sure.
But overall, like the spending that is super, super high. Like I can see that even as we see currently on like the data analytics platforms, they're hitting like 1 million a day in IAPs already. So it's very, very robust.
Yeah. So taking it back to my redemption story here.
Oh.
So I would say on day 3 users, like ad viewer rate is at least 65% with an imp DAO around 3.8. And I think even for like the day 10 users, Remo, like it's probably what we decided before. Like imp DAO is probably around 6.
Yeah.
So the
A
annoying
lot.
thing is here, I wanted to kind of do a breakdown based on retention to actually figure out how much they're actually earning. But our favorite data platform hasn't been able to deliver on the retention numbers yet. So I haven't been able to do that.
It's too soon. It's
Yeah.
too soon. They are not even like 1 month out.
Yeah,
So
it takes usually like a month, but yeah, keep in mind that they're making so much. Like currently, I would guess that already they crossed like 20 mil in IAPs only in
Yeah.
like
well,
less than a
it
month.
was 15 million last week on Friday, I think. So
Yeah.
it's way past that.
But their DAU since even last week has absolutely exploded. Now they have like 4 million users on like iOS. Like it's incredible. Like it's insane.
Yeah, and we still don't see the China numbers.
Exactly.
We don't see the China numbers. And what's important to mention is that the UA channel mix is changing. It's not that, oof. Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about that yet, but
All right.
that's very important. That's very important.
Let me finish up here. So by
Yeah.
going on the ad metrics on day 3, so that's 65% ad viewer rate and 3.8 impressions per DAU with the new updated DAU numbers, they would be earning around $315,000 a day on just ad revenue. And if you take the day 10 metrics that Remo and I were looking at, ad viewer rate probably still around 65%, but 6 impressions per DAU. That would bring us, regretfully I'd say, to $498,000 a day. $2,000 away from Matej's estimate. I don't think it's that high though, because that's only by day 10 you're like subjugated to that. But we can update this again when we see some retention numbers, and then we can come up with real numbers. So the delta here, I would say, is somewhere between 300 to 400K a day. That's where I think.
Yeah. The only thing I have on top of it is that please, Hobby, somehow advertise the evolution mechanic. It's the most important thing in the game. You never said it anywhere. Like I had to literally go on the internet and like search strategy guides how to actually evolve the things. And if you don't follow the evolution mechanic, meaning that you are picking the right supplies and right weapons, and then they evolve into something 10 times more powerful, you're not progressing anywhere.
Well, You need to play the game, and then you will find out. I mean, it was pretty obvious, the evolution of the skills and guns
I
from the
wouldn't
beginning.
say so. Just go and search on the survivors Reddit. There's so
Okay.
much people asking about it.
Well, okay, but yeah, look. So yeah, well, you're right, because I found out about the evolution just by coincidence when I evolved the shurikens, I think,
Hmm.
and I was just like, wow, this is amazing weapon. But then I had the shotgun, and then just evolved into Gatling. It's like, oh, this is even better. So yeah, that's true. Okay, I was like, oh well, what can you do? Well, you just play a game and try to read between the lines. The fuck, is a hardcore player.
But it's hyper casual game, man, from the
It's
beginning.
not a hyper casual game. It's just
It's
really
masking it like
It's
a
not a
hyper
hyper
casual
casual
game.
when it has the
it's
ISP
core
numbers.
it's
It's
core
not.
game dressed as hyper casual. There you go. That's
So
it.
show the proper dress. That's it. So just write
All
that.
right,
Please
guys.
collect evolutions.
Guys, let's leave the topic of Survivor IO. Let's all give him another chef's kiss because, well done, guys.
Perfect. That's very yeah.
Yeah, well
Well
deserved.
done. Well done. Well done. And also, everybody seems to love the deconstruction of what we've talked about last week. So I guess we will do another round somewhere in the future.
Yeah, once they add more features, definitely looking for that.
Yeah, it's going to be labeled as evolution mechanic already.
Survivor IO Unchained and Unscathed.
Evolved. Survivor.io evolved. Okay, so jokes aside, there's one piece of news, obviously a self-promotion, because, well, we can do it on our own podcast. I just published a new UA tips article. Go and check it out in the link. It's in the show notes. I already published 12 tips for killer UA operations 3 months ago. It was super successful. Well, meaning I got a lot of positive feedback. So now I did a Q3 version. So check it out.
If you've built a mobile game for iOS or Android, you've experienced user churn. You can win those users back, but it's getting more and more expensive, even more so to acquire totally new users. Enter cross-promotion with Addictive. By identifying your users likely to churn early, you can showcase another game in your portfolio before they leave forever, transforming a lost user into a new user, increasing your revenues. Learn more now at addictive.com.
And now we have the main topic of today, which means it's called "You Scaled Your Game. Now what?" Because this topic, nobody talks about it, and Remo actually brought it up recently, because it's super easy to talk about soft launching and global launching, but we're not talking about like what happens after the scale. So there are different things that we can talk about, and we will do each of us the part of, obviously, UA, ad monetization, and game design. And yeah, let's start with ads, and then we go for game design, and I will close it with UA.
The
How about that?
closer.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Finisher.
first things first, what does it mean for ads? Like, what does it mean to be scaled with ads in a non-hyper casual game? So for me, that means that the ad viewer rate and impressions per DAU are high enough that they're actually contributing significantly to the LTV of the users in the game without dragging down retention. So in this day and age, that means most likely you're working with rewarded video, and the ad viewer rate is between 45 to 70%, meaning that that's the amount of users who opt in to watch ads every day. And if you want, actually, by using RV to actually contribute to your bottom line in a meaningful way, that means you need to have at least 4 to 5 impressions per DAU on rewarded. Below this level, ads won't really contribute in a meaningful way to your LTV. So you won't be able to drive any more UA to then hit the scale. So let's assume you've hit those metrics. You'd probably be earning somewhere around 5 to 10K a day plus from ads, and probably in majority like tier 1 or tier 2 countries. I'd expect you then to have a mediation setup that's optimized, and I'd probably expect you to be working with at least 5 or 6 networks. The ones that you absolutely have to work with to start off with is AdMob, absolutely strong on both iOS and Android. Meta, really bad on iOS right now. They don't even bid on LAT users anymore. They're out of that thing. They're not even going to try. So you need them on Android. AppLovin, probably right now third biggest ad network out there. Like they've grown into a monolith. Iron Source, not as strong on Android, but really strong on iOS. And Unity. You also have Mintegral there that you sometimes add, but those are the 5 core networks that you should be working with if you're earning this type of ad revenue. So this means that all the low-hanging fruit is gone. And if you want to move the needle on ad revenue, you'll have to roll out new ad placements to increase the impressions per DAU further.
You need to roll out the sleeves.
Yeah, I need to roll out the sleeves. Yeah, actually get to work.
Yeah.
Enough time spent, hanging out on the rouge carpet. Now you actually got to get down into, the salt mines and actually do some work.
Yeah, the fun starts now.
Yeah. So why am I saying that you should keep working on rewarded instead and not adding banners or interstitials? So if you've hit this scale with rewarded video, that means that your ad placements are actually enhancing retention and helping with progression. When you install interstitials or banners, you're like basically the retention that you worked so hard for will always like take a hit. So interstitials, I've tested this many times to roll out interstitials on a portion of the user base, different different time scales between actually rolling out interstitials, but it doesn't really matter when you roll out interstitials and how much like of a pause between the interstitials you actually do. Your day 1 and day 7 like retention will drop around like 8 to 18%, like depending on how to implement it, and that hurts, right? Especially if your game is maybe 70% IAPs. Like I really recommend, if you can, stay away from this format. Like, yeah, if you don't need it, don't implement it.
Never do it, period.
No, why? Come on.
Like if you're going for the long term, now you scaled and you have 70% IAPs, putting in banners and interstitial is just like a suicidal thing.
Why?
Sorry.
Why? So it's like
because the hit on retention will hit you so bad on the IAPs.
Okay, but when you do this for a segmented player base, so meaning you will show interstitials and banners to the guys that don't pay at all. So
okay, but that's a different scenario. If it's segmented,
why? Like you said, no, don't do it. Period.
Nobody's talking about segmented.
Yeah, I think Remo's changing the rules here.
Yeah, come on.
Some game designers are more equal than others.
Oh yeah, of course. He's
Anyway.
super aggressive and sharp. Like, look,
I love it. Yeah, it's like COVID just sweated out all the.
But if you remember, it's like the COVID did the same thing to me when I was in the US. You said that, like, oh well, COVID changed you.
Yeah.
Right away. So there you go. There you go. Yeah.
Evolution.
Amazing.
All right. So banners are great, but you'll take a hit on retention figures, especially if you move the refresh rates to 10 or 15 seconds. That's when you really start seeing your kind of retention really take a hit. Also, you got to keep in mind the eCPM for banner is so much lower compared to interstitials and rewarded that you say here, like a good rule of thumb is that in a casual to mid-core game, banners will never account for more than 8 to 10% of ad revenue, right? And it's often a lot less than that, right? So that's the gains you can get, but it's not worth risking your retention. But
okay, so one question: what means refresh rate?
Refresh rate is how often you switch out the banners and actually count a new impression. So AdMob have this as standard, like in their mediation, as 30 seconds. So every 30 seconds they switch out the banners. Okay. AppLovin, you can go as low as I think 10 seconds. So it's like every 10 seconds you get a new one. Okay. It's annoying because it's flickering for the user, but every time you show a new impression, you get paid more for that. So more impressions for users.
Banner specific KPI,
Yeah. Okay, that's nice. Thanks. And
the new thing.
I've seen games where the banners actually make more than 10%. It actually makes like 50 to 60% of the revenue, and it's casual game.
Yeah, but it's usually like a chess or like a board game, right? Or
no.
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 Are you allowed to share which game it is?
I might. Let's say it's a coloring app.
I would
Mm.
say that's kind of on the same level as like, Yahtzee or chess or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like it's just core gameplay. That doesn't really count. I think I was
Why?
talking more.
What the fuck's like? How? Like how is this
It's
not?
really
How
hard to
does
say
that count?
blanket terms. Like it's
Oh,
really
of
hard to say
course, yeah, of
blanket terms.
course,
But like,
of course,
yeah,
yeah.
nah.
There are exceptions. There are exceptions.
There are
Like yeah,
exceptions to
well,
every rule. Yeah,
okay, yeah,
today Remo's not wearing his glasses. There are exceptions to every rule.
of course.
Anyway,
All right,
so I
yeah.
would say when you hit this level, like stay with rewarded ads as your way forward. And I just wanted to share some cool rewarded placements that I've seen lately that have added quite a lot of like value in terms of a lot of clicks on them.
Mm.
And the best thing I've seen lately is kind of floating ads. And that's a rewarded ad where basically at some point during gameplay, you see some kind of, some person run across the screen with like a sign or
Yeah.
like someone pop up, something flies over, whatever, like just to get your attention. When you click on the button, usually you have different like cooldown timers on when this
Mm.
person or this ad unit actually appears to float across your screen. But when you click on it, you either get an option to get X extra hard currency or Y extra soft currency
Mm.
for free. But if you also click a rewarded placement, you can 2x that amount. And like I've seen it implemented, I've seen it done, and I've seen it happen to me in games, and I always click on it because it's such a good deal. You'll need to like kind of A/B test this, so you're not giving users considerable amount of like inflation in the game when you're doing this, but it's relatively like not that used right now. And since it moves, you always get attention on it for users, and it's a good deal. And I also wanted to pass this along to you, Remo, because you're the in-house specialist when it comes to game design and placement. So, do you have any
Y-
other ones that are quite interesting that you wanted to
Yeah,
share?
just want to add to this one. Like this is pretty much standard idle genre mechanic. Adventure Commune is my favorite example here. Pretty much perfected it to the limit, where you first fly the plane around, and just by clicking on it, you already get the soft currency. There's no pop up. So this way, you train
Wait,
the
wait, slow
user
down,
to
slow
always.
down, slow down. Wait, slow down. I don't get it. Say it again.
So you always the plane flies, and you
Yeah,
always get the currency first, meaning that you first train the user to click on it. So there's no pop up at all. So this way, you first train the user to click on the plane, and then later down the line, plane will come up with advertisements, meaning that there's a pop up, and you can choose if you want to watch the pop up for soft currency or not. And if you then exit and close it, the plane will start to bring more and more kind of juicy deals to get the conversion point right, meaning that it will
Mm.
increase the amount of soft currency or even go to hard currency to try to convert you. That way, the mechanism will kind of learn your conversion value for how much you are pretty much willing to watch an ad, and then it won't go over it, meaning that that's the most efficient, best implementation I've seen yet regarding this mechanic.
nice. And I'll let you finish on your favorite last rewarded placements because I know you had one more you wanted to discuss.
Yeah, this one's pretty rare. Haven't seen it much. I've used it like multiple times in different games. One kind of a golden rule that I always have regarding rewarded videos: try to make the placements dynamic, meaning that they won't pollute the screen, and you can easily moderate them, cap them, or pretty much do whatever you want with them. So they're kind of hidden, and they always pop up only in the context of it.
Mm.
So let's say events, which like we scaled our game, so now we expected to have some kind of live ops function or events, and having ad placements in the events is really great, especially if you're monetizing the engagement itself, not the economy. So I'm talking about stuff like tries, rerolls, or kind of lifesavers, like one last, you died, maybe you would refresh your life or something in that matter, where you're not giving away the economy value, you're just giving like more chances or more shots at the goal for the player. Therefore, these are kind of really cheap for the game economy to do, but on the other hand, they are very effective because you're monetizing the engagement for the player. And what I've seen throughout the days is that uh, if you run these events in some kind of like normal manner every month or something, there's a constant, really big uptick in ad revenue coming from increased impressions. So that's like very very kind of easy to do. And as I said, nobody really does it. But if you are at this point that you scale your game, this is one way to do it, where
Mm.
pretty much events bring new gameplay modes, and new gameplay modes mean more space to put more ad placements.
Nice. Okay. Any examples?
Yeah, we did that in Battle Legion on the Hunt event. where you would
Giving away your
pretty
secret
much
sauce, are you?
yeah. I think I already talked about it on some lecture before or something like that. Or yeah. Anyway,
For sure,
so
game camp or
so you would
something.
have contracts on this kind of event, and those contracts will give you some points towards some kind of specific big goal that takes like 2 weeks to do. And like an easy thing to do would be that you are not satisfied with your contract, so you can re-roll it for an ad, or you run out of your contracts per day, get a new one for an ad. Because even if we give you a new contract, it doesn't mean we're giving you more value. We're just kind of speeding up your progression throughout the 2 weeks event, meaning that if you hit it sooner, yeah, you hit it sooner. That means that, pretty much you run out of it sooner. That's it. But on the other hand, if you're not playing the game for some time, you could catch up because, you didn't like fulfill your daily quota of contracts. Therefore, it's easy conversion for people that are like a limited amount of time.
Cool. That's it
There
from
you
my
go.
side.
Nice.
I guess we move on to game design because it just
Yeah, but
fits so
before we
smoothly.
before we do that, I need to give a proper introduction to this section. So
Probably
Jakub,
should edit this and put that in the front.
yeah, no. Jakub will do a short example case study how adding design vectors into the game helps with long-term content monetization. Dude, this is fuck my life. This is like a GDC topic for a presentation.
I
But
couldn't even
it's normal,
spell
man.
that.
Like
Yeah.
you just don't talk to game designers. It's normal. Like you use specific word because you want to talk about specific things that everybody, if they know the word, knows about, and then you need to explain it to other people. That's how it
Matej,
works.
yeah, Matej, you only speak to networks and ASMR people. Like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I need to
Anyway.
introduce ASMR design vectors into creative framework.
So again, same scenario as Felix had. We are somehow scaled, and what happens after global launch? Let's say half a year, 3 months. You definitely need to have a plan for it even before global launch. Just saying, but yeah, let's say we are something like half a year after global launch. So what happens is that your most engaged users, the dreaded golden cohort that you have from the global run, starts approaching the end of your content, meaning that they're hitting the, I don't know, end of your saga levels, end of your map, end of your whatever. Their heroes are getting pretty much to the limit of their maximum level. Their clan base is getting on max level, stuff around that. So what happens is usually that you add more content to content treadmill if you build the systems to be scalable, meaning that, of course, you add more levels, to the clan hall, you add more maps, you add more heroes into gacha, stuff around that. That's basic. But the other thing is that at some point you really need to add new design vectors, as Matej likes to say, which are pretty much like
Amazing.
extension of your current progression. So it's like another progression layer put on top of your current one. So let me get some kind of like industry example, which is a good, I would say, case study to show, where it pretty much deepens your spending that, but also your content, meaning that people can play the game for longer without running out of stuff to do. That's the important part. So usually when you do this thing, it is recommended to do it on a separate currency track, because you need to create also a good entry point for new players. And this is the tricky part, because if you create it on the original currency, it means that your like high level user base that been accumulating it for some time because they had nothing to spend on already jumps into it and pretty much streamlines through it, and your new players are not able to catch up for like very long time. Therefore, if you put it on a new currency track, you create this kind of a new entry point, meaning that everybody can start gaining that currency from some point from that time, meaning new players jumping in can code up with old players that are also just jumping into it. So this is also very similar to something like World of Warcraft expansion. That's like very, very similar thing. But yeah, let's go back to Empires and Puzzles. So what I'm talking about is the talent grid system that they put on top of their heroes, meaning that once you level up your heroes to the maximum level, they unlock this kind of a skill tree where you are pretty much investing talent currency into their stats. So I would say, I don't know who balanced it or how it is balanced, but my guess is that, let's say, our hero on max level, I think it's level 70 or 80, depends on the star rating, has 100% of power. But if we fully unlock the talent skill tree, we increase its stat by another 30 to 40%, or how much you want to pretty much focus on with this mechanic, and how much kind of a focus for the end players you want to bring it, because it cannot really diminish the previous progression, but it needs to be attractive enough to make an impact further down into the end game. So what they did here, they again created a custom currency called talent points or whatever. They have 10 classes into the game, so that plays better because, of course, you get some currency for other class. You don't get the currency for your class. That means you need to farm more stuff around that. And you're, again, investing it into your heroes. Again, if new players are coming into the game, they are just getting into it, and nobody has like super big head start against them, meaning the senior players are just as the new players getting into the mechanic. And again, they created a really, really nice sync with it, because they also tied the old currencies into it. So also you need to burn the food, iron, and the normal stuff that is coming from your camp in the economy. Therefore, they created this kind of a new power layer that now everybody can, how much time it will take, I don't know, whatever, 6 months, 1 year, again, to max out. And at that point, this scenario repeats, and they need to come up with another progression layer. And this is how it works. There's a scale, I would say, on how much functionality you want to invest into it, because this system is pretty simple to do in a way that it just scales stats. So pretty much what you do, you're increasing number in an Excel sheet of those heroes. So more hit points, more damage, more armor, or whatever, but there's no new functionality. And this is really the crucial part, that some power layers or some kind of a progression extensions are better than the other when you are really investing into new functionality into the game. But that's really, really, really hard and takes a lot of production time.
But can you scale it to eternity? These points, the stats.
Ask people that are doing World of Warcraft. That would be a good way to do it.
Okay.
But let me give another example where you're pretty much doing nothing and you're just doing the Excel sheet. So that's also our favorite
examples.
game called Diablo 3, which what they did when they, I guess, unfortunately got cut down on the production team, when everybody was pretty much swimming in legendary items that were already decked out, what they added were ancient legendary items, meaning that every legend, like 10% of your legendaries would be Asian legendaries that would increase stats. And what happens after a few seasons, where again everybody's decked out and pretty much all in Asian legendaries, they added primal Asian legendaries, which again would be more rare than the Asian ones and have 10% more stats than the previous ones. So this is kind of a easy to do design in a way that you're just again extending cells in an Excel sheet. I think they even cut it down later down because it was even silly to them. So now primal legendary items are only the ones that have perfect rolls. It's not a 10% stat increase, but they are just there. So you have something to chase. That's the important thing for power
players.
A bit
lazy game design? Because it sounds
I didn't want to say the word, but it's a game design that what you can do with minimal amount of production capacity. Because my guess is that
what would you do differently then?
If you have minimal amount of production capacity, there's no way that you can do it because you don't have coders to code a new functionality, and that's the main problem. That this is pretty easy to do because you just spend some time.
So it's not lazy game design; it's actually pretty efficient.
Super efficient, but the problem of this is that if you scale it too high, you end up with something like Diablo Immortal, where the spending cap is super high, and it's 100,000 or something. But the only thing that you get there is higher numbers on some, on the gems. That's it. And that's a problem in my book. I think, of course, if you don't have production capacity, there's no other way, and you need to give people something to chase for. Otherwise, they just leave because they finish the game. You never want them to finish the game, of course. But there's different ways how to do it, and usually it boils down into adding features such as new game modes, new twists. Path of Exile actually has it really good in a way, and of course
you mentioned Path of Exile
because
there is no discussion where you don't mention Path of Exile
if you
when
look
we talk
into
about Diablo.
What Blizzard said lately when they were talking about Diablo 4, I don't know why nobody's talking about, but they're pretty much taking a lot of points from Path of Exile progression. Because what Path of Exile does is that they come up with some kind of funky mechanic that puts a twist on their game. They run it for 3 months and then reset it again. And this goes on and on and on and on. And it works for 7 or 8 years already. And they're just increasing in DAU.
Of
And
course.
it's really good. But the problem is that you are pretty much forced to create new expansions every 3 months, and this is very very hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes I remember some of those modes went pretty bad, meaning that when they released it, the game was literally unplayable at some point.
Mm.
So it's very, very hard content treadmill, but this is the other end of the spectrum I was talking about. One is just increasing cells in the Excel sheet. The other one is doing new functionality, which needs to be tested and which needs to be properly designed, which takes a lot of time.
Yeah, so from my noob game design point of view, this is what happens in Candy Crush later levels when they introduce different things into the
Leagues and
league. Yeah,
matchmaking.
okay. Okay. All right. Yep.
Yeah,
Good.
so that would be like let's say the most of it. I would really like to like hold on to this once we have new features in something like Survivor IO, for instance, that we can then compare like how it works out regarding the power progression, how it works out regarding the feature set, and if they really go into new functionality or not.
And how that actually had an effect on the level of spend.
Yeah.
Because what we usually see in our favorite tools, data tools, we see like a flat spending and then suddenly super high increase, and then we just try to find out like what happens. And I think with like game analytics or game refinery has this timeline feature where you see what kind of changes they made in the game. That's super useful. Okay, so and that's a kind of good transition to the UA because I think there is not such a way as or such a thing we call like I scale the game, and now what we can do. It's like the spend, like maintaining the same level of spend with the same level of ROAS and ROI. It's very hard. And it's gonna fluctuate a lot depending on the UA mix, seasonality, different things, and usually you see pretty good numbers because at the beginning, after the global launch, everybody's happy. Then it starts to decline because golden cohort kind of disappears. You don't have enough content, and everything starts to break. But we don't see this behavior because we are better than that. We have enough content. The golden cohort was just a beginning, and we see an increased spend.
Maybe
So,
just for like
hmm?
easier understanding, what's golden cohort for people that are not used to this word? If we are going design vectors today.
Ooh,
Yeah.
design vectors. Well, you brought it up first, so you can go with the explanation. But golden cohort is a hardcore, not hardcore. It's the first group of users that are power users who are going to power through your content pretty rapidly
From
and
global launch, and they were
from
handpicked
global
by the
launch.
algorithm as the best ones. Yeah.
Exactly. So they usually have the lowest CPIs and the best ROI. But the size of the golden cohort is a mystery. Now, I mean, it's like you always like we had always a discussion about like how long it lasts or if it's like capped by number of players, but nobody was able to give me any answer. But from what I saw during these global launches I had, it's mostly dependent on the target audience and of the game. So if you have like a very wide and broad appeal, the golden cohort will be higher or bigger,
Survivors IO.
obviously. Survivor IO, for example, yes. If your game is pretty niche, I don't know, RPG, whatever, our 4X game, obviously like this, golden cohort will be really small. So, but that's pretty usual what happens, and this is something that you can see also in the soft launch because if when you launch the first campaigns, you will see great numbers, but then the numbers kind of declines as long as you go through the soft launch. If you are in the soft launch for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months in the same country, it's going to get more expensive. And this is also the fact that you scaled and you see very different CPIs on the level of spend: 1,000 a day, 10,000 a day, and 100,000 a day. So it's very different CPIs. So uh, if you are spending let's say 1 million a month, you will get more room for experimentation because you have higher budgets and you need to experiment quite heavily to find new ways how to run the UA profitably. You need to run multiple creatives and you need to think about what to do, where to go, and stuff like that. So then, if I scale the game means you are sustaining some level of spend and performance you're comfortable with, okay, we can talk about that. So you need to develop and perfect your experimentation process. So you slowly start adding and uncovering new UA channels and starting adding them to your UA mix. So as I said, like with the high level of spend, I think 1 million plus a month, it's really hard to say also like the true performance of the each channel, because ideally with this kind of spend, well, you have your own data team that helps you with the evaluation and running incrementality tests. So if you don't, call our good friend Mauer from Incremental. They will help you, or let me know. I will hook you up with Mauer. But back to the actual business. What is it? What are the incrementality tests? So let me give you an example. So you are running a Facebook UA channel and Unity in certain geo, let's say Slovakia. I guess that's not a pretty good idea, but you run these two channels in Slovakia. But you, with running an incrementality test, you might find out that if you run only Unity, you could get better results in terms of installs and revenues, because those two channels are actually cannibalizing and they are targeting the same people all over again. So if you pause one, you will get better results and stuff like that. So these very simplified incrementality tests. So with this level of spend, you wanna target players only once, not 10 times, ideally, because that's not like very effective spend levels.
So do I get it right that like the result of this test is you actually scaling down because you just let the other channel work better alone?
No, you just move that budget back to, for example, Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and just it's more efficient that way.
Could I
So you
push
optimize
you?
the mix diversification.
There you go. It's
Oy,
not only me
sounds
that
good.
I
Could
talk
you
about UA
do a
diversification.
top five like I did in terms of the networks that you should be working with from an early stage? Like I said, like a
Oh
scaled
yeah, of course.
level.
So even though I bitch about Facebook, it's still up there. But I would say it's Google, Unity, TikTok for sure, Uplavin, and then Facebook and Iron Source might be the in the top as well.
So
It's
TikTok is
like
still, so TikTok is not there, yeah.
it is. It is. I
There is
said
it.
TikTok on third place for sure. I mean, the Google should be the well, should be. You can do whatever you want, but yeah, in my UA strategy, always it's about Facebook first, adding Google, then Unity, then TikTok, then Uplavin, and then everything else, Iron Source as well, because it's not like up in those levels of spend. And I always say this: you have, as a UA manager, you have problems when you have low budget and high budget. With low, you need to be super efficient and you need to be very careful about the spend. And the same thing with high budget. You most probably tested all the channels out there, and now it's in the levels of, hey, okay, so I need to be very efficient and try to pick different geos on different channels, different platforms as well. So, and also like with this like higher level of spend, your UA channel mix is going to change on a weekly basis most probably, because as I said with the survivor.io, they started super high or super big on TikTok. Now it's shifting, and it's always going to shift based on seasonality, based on the numbers and everything. The most, I would say, not fluctuating that much channel would be Google. Depends on the level of spend and amount of events you can pass back to the Google, because if you don't have enough data, then you're pretty fucked, and it's going to get fluctuating a lot. But we are scaling and spending million a month, so this is not the problem. Fine, which is great. And also, when the Mr. Game Design Vertical brought up this topic, he mentioned also like, hey, so
Vector,
yeah,
not
the vector.
vertical.
Sorry, game design vector, even better.
Design Victor?
Yeah, design Victor. Hey, so Rima talked about like, hey, so you can mention how to do better creatives, which is kind of funny because for UA this is a day-to-day job to bring or like to find the best performing creatives on any levels of spend. It's true that with higher levels of spend, you need more creatives and more creative concepts. And by more, I mean at least like 5 new concepts a week, ideally 10 new concepts a week, which depends on the level of spend you have. So, usually different levels of spend, different spend level.
What's a new concept? Is it like my guy that's falling into lava is now falling into water and then falling into like spikes? That's
Is
a
that
new
the new
concept.
concept? It's just think about it.
It's
Is
not.
that the new? No, it's not. Yeah, that's just
So
an
like a completely different
iteration.
storyboard, yeah.
Exactly. Well,
Okay.
you can have a completely different storyboard for the lava guy, but yes, it's it's it can be a pull the pin. That's one concept, and then then the lava
The
guy.
lava.
Yeah, that's a different concept. So yeah, different levels of spend, different number of new concepts are required, and also with these like higher levels of spend, it's a good time to introduce a new pair of eyes, either on the UA side or creative side, or well, ideally both, because you have a lot of money you are spending, and you can afford multiple companies, multiple external companies, agencies, or consultants like myself. Sometimes it really helps. No, but jokes aside, sometimes it really helps because we have like more experiences from different games, and that can help you to find different ways how to even scale the budget you have at the moment. Because just let's face that if you have small team that always worked within one company, it's not a bad thing. It's just like you didn't see that many games, that many scenarios that could happen in these levels of spend. So when when someone like me come in and the iOS numbers are not looking that great, and I run the campaigns and suddenly it looks like it's fucking scaling, it's because of the experience. So I don't think about adding these external agencies to your team as like a competition to the team, and like I'm speaking from my experience when I was at Pixel Federation. We always thought about the external agencies as a competition, and like, yeah, well, they are going to steal my job. Like, no, honestly, I have no intentions to steal anyone's job. It's not my motivation, and I think even the external agencies don't have this type of motivation as well. So
When you're talking about like fresh pair of new eyes, I can already see you with that Blade Runner quote, like, I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Oh yeah, definitely. Exactly. But no, yeah, it's always good to also, like, even if you bring someone just to discuss and check the data and check the strategy and check like the UA channel mix, that always helps. There you go. How about that?
How about that? Right.
Pretty new
Nice.
one. Also learned the new banner KPI here.
Perfect.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. And remember, guys, if you have any questions on admon, game design, or user acquisition, email them to Matej at langshadish.me. And if you don't know how to spell it, email Napoleon at langshadish.me.
And also
Or check the show notes.
also there's going to be a nice surprise from our side if you are attending PGC later this month. We are going
Helsinki?
to be in Helsinki. We're going to be there having a live podcast discussion on stage for 40 minutes on Tuesday morning. So if you're there, hit us up. And yeah, until next time, guys. Thank you very much. See ya.
Bye.
Yep.